One of the more dramatic cases was years ago when someone decided to hide some heroin bags in a very private place from the police when they were coming to their establishment they were in. And they got sick when one of these heroin bags, I guess, ruptured and caused an OD type picture. And for some reason, I was on call, of course, and for some reason, they couldn't flush it out appropriately, and I was called in an emergency scenario where I was able to put a scope in and see several heroin bags in the rectum area and beyond. And I had to be very careful removing them so they wouldn't rupture, number one. And number two, I had another challenge. Once I got these out, I had in the waiting room from very eager family and friends that wanted some returns. And then I had a staff that around me as well. So I had a very difficult decision of what to do with my specimen. I couldn't just send it to pathology. You know, this is not something to be examined. We called the security of the hospital, and security guard came, and he did not want to take the specimen because he didn't want to take responsibility for this heroin. And so we had no choice. I had no choice but to call the police. I called the police, and once they were there, unfortunately, they had to write this up, which I was a little dismayed because my job as this person's doctor was to save him and not to get him in trouble. I felt bad because it was not my role as his physician, and all of a sudden I had the police there. I did it more to protect my staff and anyone else who had exposure to this and to protect us. So at the end of the day, when this guy woke up, and thankfully he did, he woke up and he was recovered, he rightfully was upset at me. But years and years later, I got this letter in the mail that he's about to get out of jail. And they wanted, apparently, this is not his only violation. He must have had a lot of violations in the state, or the city definitely did not want him on the streets. So he wasn't in jail even for what happened for the scenario I was involved. But they needed another reason to put him back in jail. So they said, okay, let's use this case. So they wanted me to go to potentially to court to testify, to put him back in jail longer for the heroin situation. And thankfully, right before I was supposed to go to court, it got settled. So I didn't have to go and talk about this in court. That's just one dramatic case.